All right, it's been a couple years since I've been on here, so I figured I better post something else, especially with a lot of questions been asked lately. I've been teaching a lot of firearms classes, a lot of CCWs, a lot of tactical courses. We do TAC Med stuff, but I've had a lot of people ask some questions about the criminal extraditions and evidence collections. For those who don't know me, my name is Jeff Young. I'm owner of Lone Pine Tactical. I was law enforcement for 30 years. SWAT was 25 years. I was the entry team leader on our TAC team. So I have a lot of training that I've been blessed with. And prior to that, I was military. I did nuclear security for 10 years. And when I retired, I did extraditions for a couple of years nationwide. I'd extradited inmates from 46 different states, to and from. You name the state, I missed 4. And a lot of questions have been asked, especially after this University of Idaho murder investigation they've had going on. I'm not going to justify the suspect's name, but I am going to say one thing before anything else starts. I don't edit. What you see is what you get. If I make a mistake or I say too many ums or I just stumble over a couple of words or hesitate a couple of times, that's fine. I'm not going to edit these things. I don't really like to edit stuff. I like to be just what I am is what I am. So this is what you get. And the saying goes, it is what it is. So, but going into some of these homicide investigations, people have been asking a lot of questions of why. Why didn't they release this information sooner? Why didn't they give us the information? I like the way that this agency has done their investigation because they've had multiple agencies helping and information has not been given out. Just bits and pieces of information is given out, and I like that part because we have to remember the Constitution. When you're accused of a crime, you're innocent until proven guilty. We have an opportunity to go to a court, face our accusers, and prove our innocence. Or their job is to prove our guilt if they have enough evidence to do that. We have the best system in the world. Compared to any other country in this world, we have the greatest legal system. Is there flaws? You bet there is. There's a lot of things that need to be changed, but we don't change those things by violating what's in place now. We change those things through the legislation. So back to some of this investigation in University of Idaho. The 4 students that were brutally murdered, they collected evidence, and people were asking me, well, why, when they collect evidence, what do they have to do to get this stuff? Well, when I was a patrol sergeant, and when I was a first responder to a scene or any incident, when I get there and I see a crime scene, what I do is I secure that crime scene. I make sure nobody else is in jeopardy, that the area is safe, and everybody who needs help gets the help they need. And then I secure the crime scene. I contact a detective that's either in the office or on call. The detective will respond to the location, and they'll go through the evidence. We'll go through it together. We'll collect things. If we secure the area, we need to go deeper into the residence or deeper into other cell phones, anything like that. Then we apply for a warrant. And what that means is we get all the evidence we collected that was in plain view, and we put it into a probable cause statement, and we send it off to a judge, and we request a warrant to search further. And if the judge approves it because he says yes, or he or she says yes, you have enough evidence to go into this, then you can. And they'll grant us the warrant. And then we'll go deeper into what we need to get into. So these guys, I guarantee, have so many different warrants that's been signed, searching from DNA to cell phones to you name it. They're going to have all this. And all this evidence is going to come out in court. It will come out in trial. There's no reason for it to come out in the public trial right now. Put it this way. How would you feel if somebody accused you of a crime that you had nothing to do with, and they gave all this evidence that they had collected or partially collected, and then they sent it out to the media, and your small hometown hears everything? Innocent or not, you've been found guilty by the population. And now you have to recover from that, even though you had nothing to do with it. I like the idea that a little bit of information is given out for the safety of the people in the area to make sure, okay, you're all safe. We've caught the suspect, or we have a suspect in custody. Or if there is a threat or a concern for the public, then let's do more of these type videos by law enforcement to let people know. Let these college students know, yeah, we may possibly still have a suspect in your area. So secure your doors, secure your windows, travel in pairs, never go alone. Situational awareness is a practiced thing. It's not something you're born with. And now if I offend somebody, I'm not going to go into that too deep, but the two things that a lot of humans believe they're really good at is procreation and fighting. They believe that it's just a natural thing that they have. Well, I'm sorry, but some things you have to practice. And that's just like situational awareness. You can't just automatically think, well, I'm aware of my surroundings, because most people are not aware of their surroundings. They think they are because they're paying attention to what they're doing. They're aware of their action, of what their little actions are in front of them. That's what they're aware of. They're not aware of their surroundings. They don't see what's going on 50 yards in front of them. And so these things need to be put out there if there's a threat. College students need to lock their doors. People who live in the area, lock your doors, lock your windows. If you see something suspicious, contact law enforcement. Don't try to confront it yourself. These type of videos need to be put out there if there's more danger that could be happening in society. But if there's not, then don't give all the information out. One thing the suspect can watch, you think they're not watching the news? They watch the news. They pay very close attention to different things, especially somebody who's committed 4 homicides, and they're on the run. So any information they can get can give them an advantage. Plus, it'll give family or friends that's trying to help them an advantage. So it's best they don't give out a lot of information. This information will come out in court. You'll have a chance to see it. I know there's a lot of people that's really interested in the way that the legal system works, and I really love that. I love the idea that people are getting more and more into it, and I wish they would get even more into it by asking to go for a ride along. Go and see if you can sit in a court proceeding and see how it works. Get involved in your judicial system. See how things actually work. When a case is lost by an officer, we would take the blame from the first patrolman who arrived on scene all the way to the prosecutor. Each one of us dropped the ball somewhere. There's no finger pointing. There's no you blew this case or you blew that case. It's, I made a mistake somewhere and I won't do it again. I'll learn from that mistake, and that's what we need to do, because all police officers are human. All prosecutors are human, and so we do make mistakes. We try not to. We try our hardest not to, but things do happen. But this case so far, it sounds to me, the things I know about it, they've pretty much got it under pretty tight watch. They're holding their evidence close. They have enough evidence to get this individual extradited. Now, that's one of the other questions they asked, and that's why I mentioned I extradited inmates for a while. How do they extradite this guy? If he's going to be flown, he'll probably fly commercial with 2 armed officers. It'll either be feds or it will be the local agency. If the local agency has enough resources, such as officers, to be able to go there and pick him up, because it's going to take 2 days. One day to get out there and set up, and then the next day pick him up and bring him back. So if they have the resources, they'll send their officers. They'll be armed on the aircraft. This individual will be belly chained. He'll have no markings on him to show these an inmate. They'll be the first to board the plane. They'll be in the far back. Don't talk to them. You're not in any danger. Trust me, you'll have 2 armed officers sitting right there straddling this guy, or sitting on both sides of this guy. So, and see, like I said, I don't edit, but if they fly, that's what will happen. If they decide to drive, then they're going to fly out there. The warrant will be signed by the judge or the governor here in the state of Idaho. His responsibility falls under, and I got written down here, falls under 19-4522. The governor's responsibility is to file a warrant and give it to the agent or agency to go pick this individual up and bring them back. Once the warrant's been filed, and this individual was arrested in Pennsylvania, he went to court. And then he goes to court for his extradition hearing. And if he's waived it, or if the governor of that state said, nope, you're gone, then the extradition team or the individuals picking up has so much time to go pick him up. And they got to go get him. So once they pick him up, they will transport him to the aircraft. They'll put him on the aircraft, and they'll fly him back to Idaho. Even if I knew the aircraft and the airport, I wouldn't say it on here. That's officer safety, and it's also the suspect safety. We have to remember, when we transport these people, we are responsible for their safety. there might be family members or somebody who's angry or upset, and they might track us down and try to take out the suspect. Well, we knew back in, I believe it was the 80s, a karate teacher had molested a small 10-year-old boy. He had been caught. They were extraditing him back on commercial airlines. This individual had a firearm on the phone. He was standing on the phone. He turned and shot the suspect right there in the airport. We don't want that. I know a lot of us, not us, a lot of people believe in immediate justice. I believe in innocent until proven guilty. I'm sorry, I do. And I know I've caught people that were 100% guilty of what they had done, but I also believed in innocent until proven guilty. If they decide to drive this individual, when they do drive an inmate, they have to be marked. These guys will be wearing a jumpsuit that they're inmate. They'll be belly chained, leg ironed, and they'll be strapped in the back seat of the car, and there'll be 2 armed officers. I used to do a lot of extradition by myself. I would transport, like, say, from Texas to Ohio, and I'd drive the individual by myself straight through. It was rough. It was a long drive. But if I'm by myself, I would stop for fuel, drive through restaurants. That's how I'd feed the guy or a girl. And restroom breaks would be at rest stops. I wouldn't take this individual into a store or a restaurant or anything else. And so if there's 2 officers, sometimes they'll stop. One officer will go into the store, pick up, any items the individual or them may need when they stop for fuel. But it's pretty much a straight through drive. If they can't make it straight through, then they'll stop at a sheriff's office and drop this guy off at the jail there for the night, and then pick him up the next day and finish out the drive. From Pennsylvania, 2 officers could pretty much make it in a day. If they both just go, they're going to fly. I'm pretty sure of that. They'll be getting them here. So, but like I said, the one thing I will never do is I will never give the name of the suspect. Just like these active shooters, they don't deserve it. It's just the maniac, the criminals, the murderers. That's what I'll call them. I won't give them names. Just like the Columbine or the all the shootings down in Florida, the dance studio or the dance hall down there that got shot up. I won't give those people names. They don't deserve it. And so, to let you know, I do a lot of seminars. I have one coming up on the 11th, and I will be in Pocatello. These workshops are free, and it'll be at the Veterans Memorial Building on the 11th at 6 p.m. It'll be on self-defense planning and home defense planning. We have to remember we all have to have a plan, and I'm really going to cover the point of you can have a plan all day long, but if you don't practice that plan, it's not going to do any good. You got to remember, I think it was Mike Tyson who said it, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. If you haven't practiced, then you're not going to be able to use that plan. So we're going to be doing a lot of exploring and talking on how to set up a personal and home defense plan. All right, I did lie about editing. My phone was full, so I had to go and do a little bit of work on that and get it cleared up. I will be putting this back in. So I just finished talking about situational awareness and developing a plan. I just want to close out by letting people know we do have these free seminars, these free workshops. I do firearms training, situational awareness training. Those are other classes, but if you have any questions or concerns, or you want a specific class, contact me at young2225@gmail.com, and we can set up a class. We'll figure something out and work a class in for you. January 11th at 6 p.m. Veterans Memorial Building in Pocatello, Idaho. We'll be covering personal and home defense planning. So it's free. If you want to come, you can email me, or you can just pop in at the door. It's up to you. I have about 200 seats available, so I'm not sure exactly how many are registered at this point. So. But again, be aware. Remember our Constitution. Remember our laws. There are certain reasons why we do things in law enforcement. If you have any law enforcement questions, ask me. If I don't know, I will contact an officer, and we will figure out the answer for you. I also am in contact with prosecutors, public defenders, I talk to lawyers from all over the state, a lot of people who are involved in some of these cases. And if you have a question that you can't find the answer to, and if I don't know the answer, I will find it for you. So this this will be the first of many. We can get into any conversation you want. If you want to get into old cases or case law or anything you want to get into, we can get into those things. Just ask me. Just subscribe and hit like, and we'll get in there and we'll just start answering questions, and we'll start getting some ideas going, and maybe we can make some changes out there. But hopefully I'll see you on the 11th. If not, then I'll see you on here again. Have a great night and be aware.